You are welcome back to this channel. So in today's class, we want to solve quadratic equation by completing the square method. Solve x squared minus x minus 1 is equal to 0 by completing the square. Solution. So if you check that quadratic equation and you see that it cannot be factorized into two linear factors, so it is advisable for you to go for completing the square method or you use formula method. At times they will compulsory you to use completing the square method, so that means you do not have any choice than to use that completing the square method. So it is advisable for you to truly understand quadratic completing the square method if you want to go for any exam. So that is what we want to do now. So make sure you pay attention and follow me. Now x squared minus x minus 1 is equal to 0. So the first step is that you have to take these constants out. So x squared minus x is equal to 1. Now the next step, step 2 now, is that you look for coefficient of x. And the coefficient of x here is equal to minus 1. So coefficient, you do not need to write this one, just that I'm using it to explain. Coefficient of x is equal to minus 1. So half of coefficient of x, you need it. Half of that coefficient of x is equal to 1 over 2 of negative 1. And that is equal to minus 1 over 2. Now square that half of coefficient of x. So minus 1 over 2, then you square it, is equal to 1 over 4. Add 1 over 4 to both sides of the equation. Both sides of the equation. So x squared minus x plus 1 over 4 is equal to 1 plus 1 over 4. So here, this one can now give us a perfect square. And I told you that we want to write a quadratic expression in the perfect square. You just take x, then half of the middle one, half of the coefficients of x. And half of coefficient of x is minus 1, and half of coefficient of x is equal to minus 1 over 2. So that one, minus 1 over 2, you are going to write it here. Then you square it. So if you expand this one, it's going to give you this expression. X squared minus x plus 1 over 4. Then you are going to simplify this one. LCM of 1 and 4 is equal to 4. How many 1 can we get in 4? 4. 4 times 1, 4. Plus 4 in 4, 1. So 1 times 1, 1. So x minus 1 over 2, everything squared, is equal to 5 over 4. Okay, square roots of both sides gives the following. Now gives. So it gives x minus 1 over 2 is equal to plus or minus square root of 5 over 4. And according to law of third, we can rewrite square root of 5 over 4 as root 5 over root 4. And root 4 is equal to 2. So root 5, we write that one. It's an irrational, so we write it back. So back to the equation that we are dealing with, x minus 1 over 2 is equal to plus or minus root 5 over 2. So we want to make x the subject of the formula. So we have x equal to 1 over 2 plus or minus root 5 over 2. And I told you that we usually have two solutions for quadratic equation, and those solutions are known as roots of quadratic equation. So here x is equal to 1 over 2 plus root 5 over 2, or 1 over 2 minus root 5 over 2. So x is equal to Find the LCM of 2 and 2 is 2. So we have 1 plus root 5 or 2 as denominator, then we have 1 minus root 5. So let's press calculator. What is root 5? So root 5 is equal to 2 plus 2, 3, 6, everything over 2, or 1 minus 2.236, everything over 2. So x is equal to 1 plus 2.2 gives 3.236. So divided by 2, or we have 1 minus 2.236. So we have minus 1.236 divided by 2. So x is equal to 3.236 divided by 2 is equal to 1.618, or my 1 over 1.236 divided by 2 is equal to, so minus 0.618. So here is the answer. You can leave your answer here. It depends on how they ask you to write the answer. So, but for this one, we want to write it in 2 decimal places. So x is equal to 1.62 or minus 0.62. So to two decimal places, and that is the answer. Question 2. 4h squared plus 2h minus 7 is equal to 0. Solution. 4h squared, so they can use any alphabet for you, plus 2h minus 7 is equal to 0. Now, the first thing for this kind of quadratic equation is that you have to divide whatever the coefficients of the variable with the highest power. The variable with the highest power here is h squared, and its coefficient is 4. So dividing both sides by the coefficients of the variable with the highest power. So the coefficient of that one is 4. So you have to divide both sides by that one. So we obtain the following. So h squared plus 2 over 4h minus 7. Okay, let me say 4 over 4. So that then over 4 is equal to 0 divided by 4. And 0 divided by 4 is still 0. So this 4 cancel 4. So we are left with h squared plus 2 here 1. So here 2h minus 7 over 4 is equal to 0. So that means this variable with the highest power, its coefficient must be 1. So the next thing is that you have to take the constants out. H squared plus 1 over 2h is equal to 7 over 4. So the next step is you have to look for the coefficient of h, and the coefficient of h here is 1 over 2. So half of coefficient of h will be equal to 1 over 2 of 1 over 2, which is equal to 1 over 4. So you have to square that 1 over 4. Square 1 over 4, it gives 1 over 16. So the next thing is that you have to add 1 over 16 to both sides. So add 1 over 16 to both sides of the equation. Both sides of the equation. So it gives h squared plus 1 over 2h plus 1 over 16 is equal to 7 over 4 plus 1 over 16. So this one has become the perfect square. So we can write this one in the perfect square form. So now I explain that you just take 1h, then you find half of coefficient of h. Half of coefficient of h is 1 over 4. So you are going to put it like that. If it is negative, you're going to put negative there. If it is positive, you can see that we have positive a. So that means we are going to put positive, then you bracket it, and then you square it. So if you expand it, it must give you back h squared plus 1 over 2h plus 16. So it's equal to 7 over 4 plus 1 over 16. So let's simplify this one. So h plus 1 over 4, everything squared, is equal to, if you find the LCM of 4 and 16, the LCM is equal to 16. How many 4 can we get in 16? 4. 4 times 7, 28. Plus, how many 16 can we get in 16? 1. 1 times 1, 1. So, h plus 1 over 4, everything squared is equal to 29 over 16. So, you have to take the square root of both sides now. So, we have h plus 1 over 4 is equal to plus or minus square root of 29 over 16. So, and square root of 29 over 16 can be written as root 29 over root 16. So, we have root 29 over 4. So, h plus 1 over 4 is equal to plus or minus root 29 over 4. So, we want to make h the subject of the formula. So, we have minus 1 over 4 plus or minus root 29 over 4. So, the roots of this quadratic equation will now be equal to minus 1 over 4 plus root 29 over 4, or minus 1 over 4 minus root 29 over 4. So, you can leave your answer like this, or you go further. If you find the LCM, we have 4. So, we have minus 1 minus plus root 29, or minus 1 minus root 29 over 4. So, let's expand that one. Is equal to minus 1. So, what is root 29? Root 29 is equal to 5.385. Everything over 4. So, we have to cover this also. Or minus 1 minus 5.385 over 4. So, h will now be equal to, so this one will give us 4.385 over 4, or minus 6.385 over 4. So, 4.385 divided by 4 is equal to, so h here is equal to 1.096, or 0.385 divided by 4 is equal to minus 1.596. So that is the answer. So we want to take it to 2 decimal places. So h is equal to 1.10, or minus 1.60. So to 2 decimal places, and that is our answer. Thank you for stopping by. So in the next class, we are going to solve quadratic equation by using formula method, formula of quadratic equation. We are going to derive the formula by completing the square method. Then we solve some examples on that. Thank you.